Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Lone Wolf 902. Today I'm out on a solo hot tent trip and we have got snow. This is the very first snowfall in my area of 2020. I am very excited to be out here. So I grabbed my stuff and I hit the road right away. I got up to the fire road logging area, parked my truck, grabbed my backpack, and just started hiking. I came directly to an area where I did a previous tarp camping trip, so I'm exactly right where I was sleeping, right here during a canvas tarp camp out. So, or sorry, not a canvas tarp, a regular tarp camp out. So today I'm actually running really short on time. The sun is starting to go down because I did kind of not plan this very well. But yeah, we're here. We got snow. I've got my tent set up. I've got my stove already inside of the tent. I got my canvas bedroll on the ground right now. Now, knowing that this was the first snowfall and it's quite wet, it's quite a dirty kind of snowfall. It's going to be wet. It's going to be mucky. I did bring a sleeping pad to get myself up off the ground. So I won't be inflating that until later on because I'm going to be in and out of the tent and I don't want snow and stuff getting on top of it and getting all dirty and wet. So I'm going to keep my sleeping arrangement, my sleeping bag and my sleeping pad in my backpack until later on this evening, and then I'll get it out when I'm ready to crawl in and go to bed. But right now I do need to get some firewood. I need to finalize my camp area so I don't lose any small pieces of gear in the snow, and then basically start cooking because it is coming on to nightfall very soon. I want to say maybe 2 hours of light left. So that's a lot of work. I got to get firewood, get it all in here, get situated, and I'm going to be cooking over an open fire tonight, so I got a lot to do, so let's get started. All right, so that's fire quickly taken care of. I've gone ahead and basically opened up the other side of the tent, cleared out this area. Now this is a canvas tent. That's the reason why I put it so close to the fire. I don't really need to worry, especially with it being wet and damp. I don't need to worry about the fire burning the tent. So I can have this really, really close. And in fact, when these doors are shut, the peg is actually right here underneath my finger in the ground. So the doors are gonna come in right here, right up against that fire. Now, I'm gonna put the fire out when I close the doors, but with the back side of the tent shut, some of this heat will actually go in the tent. So I don't need to light the wood stove yet. I'm gonna hold off on that until nightfall, but I wanna get this area prepped and basically the rocks warmed up and all the snow out of here, because I am gonna be cooking steaks over the fire. So I have a little grill I'm gonna get set up out here once I get some more firewood kind of collected and set near the outside fire, as well as all the firewood for the inside fire. So now that this is going really, really well, I'm gonna turn my attention to getting some more wood. I'm gonna get it all in the tent, get it split up for later on tonight, and then I'm gonna start cooking my steak over the fire. Alright, so starting to get quite warm from cutting up all that firewood, and the last thing I want to do is break out in a sweat. Getting sweaty in the wintertime and then going into a cold night is the worst sleep ever. Even with a wood stove, you're going to be wet, you're going to be sticky, it's going to be nasty. So I'm going to strip off my wool sweater hanging up in the tree over here. Get that up nice and high, get that dry. And I basically been going around with my little log carrier and collecting firewood, cutting up pieces, getting it stocked up over by the tent. I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at right now for outdoor firewood, but indoor firewood, I'm really gonna have to put my attention towards that a little bit later on. I am starting to lose light pretty quick. I'm out of breath because I've been running around like crazy. And it's warm, so I'm going to take a few minutes of a break, mellow out a little bit, start to get my body temperature back down. And like I said, I don't want to break out in a sweat because I am wearing layers, and I can continue to strip layers off, like my hoodie down to a button-up shirt and so on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to relax for a minute, cool down, and then I'm going to fill up this carrier again full of logs for indoors. I should mention I do have a winter sleeping bag with me. So I'm not really worried about being cold with the wood stove going out. I'm not going to be cold at all. The wood stove is purely for cooking inside of the tent and a little bit of comfort. So I'm going to get some wood in there, enough to get me through the night and in the morning, and I'll be right back. All right, so I got my coffee all made up. Need a nice warm drink because it is quite cold out right now. The current temperature is minus 8 degrees Celsius. It's not terribly cold, but when you're moving around, like I was saying earlier, breaking a sweat, it does have that damp coolness. So having this fire right here, the heat radiating in, and nice hot coffee is definitely what I need. So now that I've got that done out of the way, I've got a lot of wood. I got a lot of this hard maple in the tent right now. I still have to baton it down for the stove, but it's really, really nice, dry, dense wood. The center of the whole tree was actually hollowed out, so batoning this is going to be super easy. It's just going to basically open right up with a good whack of the knife. So I've got a whole bunch of that set, and I've got my grill out here and my little spatula. I'm going to place this over top of the fire and get my medallions. So basically I got medallion steaks. I'm going to season them, put them on the coals, put 2 logs close together to basically support my grill, and cook up some steaks. And that's basically supper. I got 4 of those medallions, and then I have some pepperoni, some cheese, and a couple other things for later on in the tent tonight. But yeah, got my little grill, titanium, of course. Gonna slap that on there, get the steaks on, and start cooking because that sun is already starting to go down, so it's going to be dark in no time. Okay, so I'm all done with my supper. Man, that was good. It was really good. I had 4 steak medallions cooked over the fire on my grill, and I managed to cut up a few more pieces of firewood, and then I ended up batoning a few more pieces just for the inside fire. So my firewood for the inside is all good for the night. The stove is going right now. It's actually burning. I just got it damped down really low so it burns nice and slow. And I can already feel the heat. I mean, my whole backside right now is warm because the heat's rushing out of the tent. And then I've got the heat from the fire right in front. So pretty good temperature. I think I'm basically just going to lazy kind of evening around the camp and just basically sit here and enjoy the fire, enjoy the stove. Probably not going to film a whole lot tonight. Pretty tired. That was a lot of rushing around, a lot of wood cutting, a lot of prep. So I'm probably going to take it easy tonight, and I'm going to crawl inside the tent eventually. I'm going to sit right here for a little bit. The forest is looking really great right now. I mean, this first snowfall is looking awesome. It usually without the snow it would be dark, but right now it's still quite bright out. So I'm going to enjoy this for a little bit, and then I'm going to shut the doors and get my sleeping pad inflated, get my sleeping bag out, and basically head to sleep and try and get up early tomorrow morning. So that's the plan for the night, and basically I'll catch you guys in the morning time. Good morning, guys. It is a beautiful morning out today. It is slightly warmer than yesterday. Unfortunately, as you can see, all of my wonderful white snow is gone. So there's a few patches behind the tent in the trees over there, and I can see a little bit over here, but for the most part, the snow's gone. It did warm up quite a bit, which is not too terrible. I have the wood stove going right now. I'm just gonna let that burn out slowly. Got a nice hot fire going right now, nice hot cup of coffee, and just kind of enjoying this quiet morning out in the forest. I was really hoping it was gonna snow, but first snowfall of the year, you know how that goes. It comes and then it goes and so on. So the plans for this morning, I'm going to enjoy a little bit of this heat because it is still quite cold out, but obviously it's not cold enough to keep the snow around. I'm going to enjoy the heat of this. I'm going to enjoy the heat of my coffee. And then I'm going to get my pot back on the fire and I'm going to make a pot of oatmeal. I'm going to eat. And then I'm going to go through my sleep system with you guys because I didn't show you last night. But I do have everything laid in there. What I did is, instead of sleeping on the side, I ended up pushing it to the back door and I slept this way instead of this way. So I was kind of next to the stove. I had my boots there blocking the sleeping bag and all that, but I'll get into that in a little bit, show you guys what I got in there for sleeping and how I slept in there, and then get it all out and pack it up. So, like I said, coffee, and then it's going to be oatmeal, and man, I gotta say, it is quiet out here. It is very, very quiet. So, gonna enjoy this. All right, breakfast is ready. I've got my 2 packs of oatmeal, apple cinnamon, and brown sugar maple. 2 favorite packs, I should say. Really good stuff. So I'm sitting here making my oatmeal, and I'm still sipping on what's left of my coffee. And in the background, because remember, I am at a lake. This is exactly where I camped at. Probably about a month and a half earlier. I had my tarp set right here using this same fire pit. And I had basically the same time too. I was making my breakfast, doing my stuff, and then I could hear the loons out on the lake, okay? Now, for the viewers that are regular viewers on the channel, you guys know that my thing with camping near lakes is I have to hear the loons. That completes the camping trip. If you don't know what loons are, they're basically big birds that live near lakes and water and areas, and they're just, I don't know why I like it so much. It's just, for me, that screams lake camping. You're out in the wilderness, you can hear the loons talking to one another, echoing across the lake. So that just happened. It just happened a minute ago. I only heard one loon. I didn't hear the other one call, but I know that this little tiny kind of cove area over here, the loons always come here, always. So I'm gonna eat my oatmeal and I'm gonna finish up my coffee, and I hope sometime while I'm doing this, they start talking. If they do, I'm gonna try my hardest to get the camera over there and get it on camera, but that's good enough for me. I mean, I hear a loon out on the lake, that's cool, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, right now it's gonna be oatmeal time. I'm gonna enjoy my oatmeal, and then I'm gonna do a little cleanup of dishes. And like I said, I'm going to open up the tent, get my sleep system out, and show you guys what I got for a sleep system, and then I'll talk about my shelter a little bit and how it worked and why I chose it for this trip. Alright, so here's my sleep system for last night. As you can see, as mentioned, I did turn the bed so I was on the back side of the door. And then I got my canvas bedroll positioned here, my sleeping pad, my down sleeping bag, and then the wood stove is right behind my body over here, the pipe. This was really, really comfortable. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. First thing in the morning, rolling or unzipping the door just to peek out to see what was going on, because you can't really tell what's going on inside of the tent unless you peek out. So I did kind of sit up, unzip, look out. I was hoping there was going to be snow. There wasn't, so that was kind of a letdown. But this was really, really easy to get in and out of the tent. So what I've got for my down sleeping bag is my One Tigress goose down bag. This bag, I don't believe is, I'm pretty sure it's discontinued. So they sent me this probably about a year ago, and this has been one of my main sleeping bags. It does come with a black orca stuff sack. That's how old it is, because most of you know black orca is One Tigress. A lot of their stuff used to be branded black orca. Now pretty much everything's branded One Tigress. So this, I don't even recall the name. Try and find the name for you guys, just in case you're wondering. It's not on here. I'll put the name of the sleeping bag down in the description because I can't recall the name of it. But I do have the matching top quilt to this as well. And that's why I'm going to name what this is, so you guys don't get it mixed up in my my other videos. So that's the sleeping bag. For my sleeping pad, I went with my Climate sleeping pad. I don't recall, oh here it is, so this is the insulated Static V Lux SL. This is claimed to have an R value of 6.5. I don't believe that, but we'll talk about that in a different video. As you can see, there's quite a bit of moisture down here on the foot end and nothing up there. So what happened with the moisture is my sleeping bag, I ended up using it more like a top quilt because it was really warm in there all night. So I unzipped this, and then I turned it, and basically where all the moisture was from the ground on my sleeping bag, it kind of got rolled and rolled and rolled, which made the bottom area of the sleeping pad a little damp. Now it wasn't wet, I wasn't wet or cold, it's just showing up a little bit damp. So that's my sleeping pad, and then my DIY canvas bedroll. Now, if the camera picks it up, there is a massive hump right there. There's a big rock and a big root. I positioned it so basically that was in my stomach. So I slept on my side, and I kind of positioned myself like a spoon, so that hump was right in front of me. So I wasn't actually laying on top of that hump, my body was actually contoured around it. And this sleeping pad being very, very thick, I didn't even feel it. So I was really comfortable, I had access to the wood stove, and everything worked out really great. Okay, so now that we've got the sleep system out of the way, I want to talk about the tent and the stove. The tent was a very, very easy choice for this trip. One, I had to have a small hot tent, and two, I needed it to be canvas because I was going to be so close to the outdoor campfire. And the canvas material does excellent around embers and flames and stuff like that without burning holes in it. So the Pomale Solo Canvas tent was my choice for this trip, and I'm really happy I brought it. Really, really happy, because there was embers that snapped and popped out of the fire last night, hit the tent, and it bounced off. No holes, no issues. Perfect. Moving on to the stove. The stove is also from Pomale. Now this is the Timberwolf Stove. It's my signature Lone Wolf 902 stove. Many of you already know it. This thing is fantastic. I'm not just saying that because it's my signature stove. I'm saying it because it fits in there incredibly well. It flat packs, it's very light. It's a treat to work with in small tents, okay? This thing pumped out so much heat last night, I had to open up the door and vent it out because I was way too hot, way too hot. So I did damp it down, and I did start feeding it slower and found that comfort zone, and I was perfectly fine. But yeah, that's the stove I chose for the trip, and that's why it worked really, really well. Now, packing it inside of my 75-liter pack that I brought with me, my down bag, and my sleeping pad, and my bedroll. When I leave today, I'm basically just gonna jam it in the backpack. That's why I love bringing large backpacks. I have the stuff sack to the sleeping bag, and I brought it in like that. But I'm going out with less food, less water. You know, I'm not bringing everything packed in there nice and neatly. So my sleeping bag is going to go in there just like this. I'm going to cram it in there, I'm going to let it loft up and expand, and this tent and the stove, everything fits inside of there really, really well. So everything that I brought today, I mean, going from the pad, the bedroll, the tent, everything works really, really good together. And I've used the system a few times together, and it packs in there very small, very light. This pad is warm, but like I said, I'm going to do a separate video on these pads. I don't believe the R value is 6.5. We'll talk about it in another video, but this pad and this sleeping bag keep me very warm in temperatures like this. The stove was a treat, very, very hot. I did make tea and coffee in there last night, and I kind of played around in the tent, watched a movie on my phone and whatnot. And not too bad, not too bad. I had a really good night. I slept all night. I loaded the stove full of 2 big round logs, and I went to sleep, and I did not wake up once until this morning. I woke up and the fire was out, and I went, geez, how long did that last? And I put my hand on it, and it was still warm. So good 5-6 hours of a burn, and very, very nice and warm. So I hope that clears up any of the questions you guys may have about gear that I brought with me. I am now going to start doing the task of packing up because I have plans that I got today, and I've got to get going. So I'm going to get this deflated in the pack, get the sleeping bag in there, stove down, everything packed up and in the pack, and I'm going to hit the trail very, very shortly. Okay, I finally got everything inside of the pack. I got my saw, my canvas bag that I'm going to hand carry out of here today. It does fit in there, but I'm just going to carry it. Talk about packing up. So everything's in here. It was a task. I had some tent pegs that were actually stuck in the ground, and I forgot my gloves, so getting those out was a little bit of a tricky task. For those of you who don't know how I pack my bag, because I get asked this often, I didn't record it today because I am in a hurry, but I'll go over it very, very briefly. This pack unzips all along the front. It opens up like a luggage, so I can lay it down and top load it, or front load it I should say. And then the hood also opens as well. So what I do is I take my stove and I shove it down in a hydration sleeve inside of the pack while it's laying down flat. And then I put my bedroll, my sleeping pad, whatever other flat items I have to go in there. I put the tent in there, and then I zip the whole thing up, and then I stand it upright like it is right now. And then I take my down sleeping bag. As you can see, I got the tent poles here as well. And I take my down sleeping bag and I cram it in through the top, and then I let it loft up. But I quickly zip it up before it lofts up. So get that in there. Get this zipped up before it starts expanding again. And after a few minutes, that bag will expand, giving this backpack a lot of extra form. And then other items I slip in here, like I got my maintenance kit, I got my spice kit, all my smaller items go in the front, food items, a bit of camera gear because I am filming, so I do have additional items, batteries, microphones, all that stuff that I keep in here. Now, I did take my black hoodie off, and I put my stovepipe and my black hoodie up in the hood portion of the backpack. It is going to get very warm hiking, lugging all this weight. Talking about weight, I want to say today's loadout was probably in the 35-pound range with the canvas that I brought, the backpack, the stove, everything that I brought. Probably about, I want to say 30 to 35 pounds, just to be on the safe side. So not too bad, but I do have to wrap this up because today is a special day for me and my family. My son Desmond, as you guys know, he's been on the channel often. He's back in school now, so it's kind of hard to get scheduling right, but we are planning our Christmas episode. So you guys know last winter we did a Christmas episode in a hot tent, a big permanent hot tent, way back in the beginning and near in the channel. We had an excellent time, an absolutely awesome time. So we're starting to plan the 2020 Christmas episode now, because now we've acquired a ton of gear. So now it's, where do we want to go? What tent are we going to use? What are we going to do? So we're planning that already. And he's also taking a liking in photography. So you guys know I am a photographer. I've been in photography for 10, 15 years. I absolutely love it. And I'm really happy he wants to do it. So back in the summertime, he had his, I think he's got an S7, like a Samsung S7 phone. And we were out on the shore, and I was in my camouflage tangram tent. So if you guys remember that video, we had an excellent time, and he took his phone and he went out and just took photos, and he actually did a pretty good job. So we're going to take some time today. I'm going to let him use my camera, and we're going to go out. We might go to a waterfall location and whatnot, and basically going to start learning photography. It's a very, very, very long road, and you'll never stop learning. So I think it's a great way to get children involved in the outdoors and get wrapped up into something positive and something that's never going to end. There's always something to learn. There's always creativity. There's always something. So that's my plans for today. I do have to wrap it up. I've got to hike back to my truck. I've got a fair distance to go. Jump in the truck, pedal to the floor, get home, get cleaned up, get unpacked, and take him out and do some photos. So jump on my Instagram if you guys are interested in any photography. It's Lone Wolf Wild Camping. It's down in the description of every single video. Be sure to head on over there and check out some of the bonus content and behind the scenes and some of the photos. So that's a lot to say. I've got to go though. I'm rambling on here. I've got to get this backpack on, get this saw, and I've got to get out of here. So thank you guys very much for watching. I always appreciate it. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out, guys.